Wow, your camera is much brighter than mine.
Yeah, it's higher quality, more expensive, bigger, better lens. There's a lot of pluses on that camera.
Well, it is the plus.
Right. Exactly.
Hi everyone, welcome to 40 Fit Food number 26. Today we are talking about nutrition. Oh, I forgot my laptop over there. All right, that's fine. If I happen to see a question pop up, I will run over and get it. Actually, nice. I'll walk because it's safer.
Okay, so what are we talking about? Nutrition.
Today we're talking about nutrition because for us, the new year just started. And so because of that, we talked about regular New Year resolutions, blah, 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 blah. You can look back at that. But for us, the New Year just started, and Oscar and I have made it a point to kind of check into our health because we are now in our 40s. Well, I am anyway. I don't know why he's on this podcast. But and since we are in 40 Fit Food, we thought it would be a good idea to pretty much like get all blood work done and kind of just like preemptively look at the next 10 years so we can be preventive about our health, you know? And basically we just thought it would be nice to do like a clean eating reset because a lot of people always ask us about nutrition. We are not nutritionists or doctors or anything like that, but we do know what makes us feel good when it's time to go get up and do Kung Fu or go to a show, which we just had 2 solid weeks of shows. So we're just going to talk a little bit about that, and if you have questions for us, please let us know. But for us right now, we're doing the reset. We don't actually condone diets.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Hi.
I don't think you should follow a super strict diet forever and say, this is my diet, and I'm following all these rules, and they're super strict. It makes it challenging to maintain that. But that being said,
having said that,
sometimes there is value to trying something out for a short period of time and seeing how you feel. So what we're doing is a very popular thing called the Whole30, but we're doing it for 2 things. 1, you can look at it as a reset, but 2, a elimination type of diet, what it does is it eliminates certain things that are challenging for some people, sugars, certain type of carbs,
everything.
Wheat.
It eliminates everything that's good in your life.
Some dairy, because some
it's
of
only been a couple weeks we've been on it. You can tell I'm very happy.
Yeah, some of these foods are triggers for certain people, but what an elimination diet does is gives you a time period of 21. In this case, it's 30 days, and those 30 days you're getting all that stuff out of your system, not indefinitely. And then if you decide to, you can start slowly introducing things back and testing out how that works. The key being that you don't reintroduce everything all at once, and that you pay attention to how your body is feeling through the phase of the restrictive part, the 30 days, and then right at the end, and then as you start introducing things.
Yeah, so for me, I am allergic to Florida, and so I'm hoping that through my elimination, I'm gonna kind of do a nice reset and lower like my histamine levels, and then once I start reintroducing stuff, kind of see how my body reacts in conjunction with being here in Florida with the weather, and you know, there's so many other factors to that with sleep and, you know, like exercise and everything. But in terms of the eating, I do know, I mean, I hate to admit it, but you know, I do know, like if I'm eating breads or pastas or like heavier foods, or obviously fried food, which it's more of a treat, we don't get much, but like I obviously am more lethargic. I mean, everybody kind of knows, you know, what's good and bad for training. But for sure, like for you, it's sugar, like processed sugar, meaning, you know.
Processed sugar puts me out. And so a test for me, or it doesn't even have to be a test, I just know what happens, is if I eat something that's relatively sweet, and I just go sit down on the couch, I'll be pretty much falling asleep. So I kind of get a little bit of a sugar crash, but I love it. I do love the taste of sugar. However, it's been about almost 3 weeks that I haven't had any, and I don't really crave it right now. The nice thing with doing something where you just take it out of the equation is your taste buds do recalibrate. And so where I would be craving a sweet at the end of the night after dinner, I'm pretty satisfied with a little spoonful of almond butter. That is tasty enough for me and gives me kind kind of what I need. So the other benefit to this is when you have a lot of processed foods in your diet, you don't even know what healthy food should taste like.
Yeah.
And so we've run into that with people who give up soda and try to drink water. It doesn't have any flavor, or they take away a lot of the processed ingredients out of their food. And initially, your body is so confused and it's so trained to kind of to be hit with dopamine every time it gets the processed stuff that it doesn't even know what to do with the real food. And so we've noticed that when you really clean it up, I don't know, I appreciate the food even more. I think it's super tasty right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a bunch of different types of, I've done intermittent fasting, I've done all sorts of like reset things other than just the Whole30. So I think I have a lot of experience with, wow, this is the best strawberry I've ever eaten, because I haven't eaten in 20 hours or something crazy, right? So you do find kind of this appreciation for flavor that is natural. And Oscar always tells me, well, your body's smart. If you're eating a bag of potato chips, right? Which for me, I don't care about sugar. I don't like sweets, but I love savory. So I will have popcorn or potato chips way any day over cookies, right? Whereas you're like, no, give me cookies. So in terms of our vices, but you can eat a whole bag and go, I'm still not full. But if you're eating broccoli and fish or quinoa and, a piece of chicken, you can't eat as much, right? Your body goes, oh, we're satiated, we're good.
Right.
So you always tell me, like, your body's smart, it knows real food. And it's so true from all the different things that I've tried with my eating. For whatever reason I was doing it. Like right now we're doing like kind of a health reset. Sometimes I've done it for fat loss, or sometimes I've done it just like for the allergies, like I said, so various reasons. But I do notice that real food really does taste better. And a lot of people look at us and they're like, oh my gosh, how can you do what you're doing right now? It's so hard. And one of the things we really loved about the Whole30 in its book, what it says, and I don't know who's the
Hardwig, I think is
yeah, sorry, I want to give credit and props, but it's funny because they're like, this is not hard. It's not hard to take out all of these foods, right? Giving birth is hard, struggling with cancer is hard. There's a lot of hard things that we have to do in our lives, and just kind of controlling your eating isn't
getting choked out by Pete on a cruise, that was hard.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
Pete.
That's challenging.
Yeah, so I think it's what we kind of talked about at the beginning of the year with New Year resolution value resetting. So like instead of saying like, oh, it's so hard to not eat XYZ, just kind of redefine yourself and say, well, I'm somebody who is going to eat to make myself feel better so that I can train better, so I can do Kung Fu better, so that I can have the energy to do Kung Fu, because that's why we're here, 40-plussers, right? We want to be able to keep doing Kung Fu. And so it does go hand in hand. I mean, we just came off of Chinese New Year, which first thing we tell all our performers is, all right, be on time, be safe, everything, and also drink a lot of water, because you need to be hydrated. It's a long day, and do not eat crazy snacks while you're going to be performing all day, because then the audience gets to see the snack in form of vomit, and that's not really good for shows.
I think that's very, you just said it was very valuable. It's valuable to a lot of people.
Yeah, so anyway, when you do train, you guys all know, what's quote unquote good and bad for eating. And so I think it's intuitive, but it's weird because even though we know it's intuitive, we're taking the advice of, okay, let's just follow the Whole30 because it's there, it's easy, it's already laid out for you, and it takes away the guesswork. So that's why people often ask us questions also, because I think we all instinctively know, like, okay, should I have 3 bottles of wine with dinner? Is that okay? We know what's good and bad, but it does help to have kind of a little bit of guidance and a little bit of a track. So what do you recommend to your clients when they kind of ask you? I know you don't do technical nutrition advice, but I know you have precision nutrition certification. So like, what's your best go-to for people who don't like to say, you're not allowed to eat XYZ?
So your question is, they're coming to me and saying,
what should I eat? I'm trying to get my goal, but I don't want to limit, my favorite foods.
So this is the go-to as far as precision nutrition stuff, which is, well, if you could rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I eat Skittles every day. That's my meal. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up for Skittles. And
Skittles.
right, I see. Number 1, I eat Skittles, and number 10 is what we all know, probably like steamed fish and broccoli, right? That's like super healthy, right?
Oh my God, no thumbs up for
no
steamed fish and broccoli. It's so sad.
Maybe with a lot of ginger. Anyway, so where would you rank yourself? 10 being, man, my nutrition is on point. It is 100% on, and 1, it really is as bad as it can be. So that's the first thing, is to rank yourself.
Okay.
So then most people actually say, you know what, I would give myself a 5 or a 7 or whatever they give themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the next question then you can ask yourself is, well, why did you rate yourself so high? Why didn't you, if you rated yourself a 5, why not a 4? Why not a 3?
Right.
And most people at that point say, well, because I'm not doing this.
Okay.
Like they're kind of reaffirming some of the good things we do. We high five, boom, you're doing a couple of good things. And then the next step from there is, well, in your opinion, what would be taking yourself from a 5 to a 6? What changes would you have to make?
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, have a ton of opinions, but I would like to hear what their opinion is. And instinctively, people know. They'll say things like, well, I could drink probably a little bit more water and not drink as much soda, and I'm probably not getting enough protein throughout the day, and I could probably do a little bit more greens. And like, everyone knows really what good food is, right? It's pretty simple.
Not in a box, not in a bag.
Yeah, don't eat cardboards that come from a box, and try to eat more green leafy vegetables, and try to get a little bit more protein, and try to limit the processed stuff. But the thing is, you don't need to tackle all of that at once. So one of the things you can do is say, well, let's focus on one thing that you do. What do you want to tackle? I want to tackle my protein, so we can just focus on that. To your other point of why we're following kind of the Whole30 is actually it's not challenging. It's easier to have a very set rules that are very specific to do for a limited amount of time, for 30 days. Anyone can do you can do anything you want for 30 days. And for us, it's a little bit easier, especially with your personality, to have, these are what the specific rules are. I'm just going to follow them, check, check, check. And at the end of 30 days, then we'll kind of see where we're at. Right. And in the same way that as a Kung Fu practitioner, you go to your Sifu and say, well, I want to learn that form. And they say, okay, well, here's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to do this, 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 and this. They're just telling you exactly what you're going to do. That is actually easier than you looking at that form and saying, okay, I'm going to just follow it and try to make it up as I go along. So
so having a plan is always a good thing.
The main thing is having a plan, but on both sides, it all comes back to self-awareness, paying a little bit more attention. And so one of the biggest things that you can do is to eat mindfully, which we don't do all the time. So, in a typical week, maybe 3 nights a week, we'll actually sit on the counter and slowly eat our food. But most of the time, I go and watch TV while eating. And the problem with that is not the quality of the food will be different, but you can just start eating in pace with the TV show that you're watching.
Oh, right. So if you're watching an action film, you're eating a lot faster than if you're watching slow.
Exactly, right.
Is that true?
Yeah. Studies do show that, yeah. So if you're watching an intense type of drama,
all right, guys. So if you're gonna watch TV and eat, then watch something kind of relaxed.
And here's the other thing is, if you were to eat,
that's why dinner music is usually so chill, right? Because you're supposed to eat
and here's the thing: the calories of a burger with all the stuff that you want on it won't be different if you watch it in front of the TV or if you watch it in your Zen garden while meditating. This will be the same, but the difference will be that if you're doing it while watching TV, you're probably going to also go for the soda and the chips, and you're going to keep eating. But if you're paying attention, you're going to be able to cue into your own satiety, and say, oh, you know what, and realize I'm already getting kind of full.
I think it also tastes better. I, as a cook, really appreciate if someone is focused on my labor of love, and they're like, wow, this tastes really good, and they're appreciating, because I like to plate food as well, because I feel like, you see food before you eat food, and so it is important for it to not just look like goo on a plate, right? I like everything to look really nice, so I do actually have pride in plating my food. And so there's that whole experiential thing. I remember when I did the IF, and it was literally I ate for 4 hours at the end of the day, and it was an experience, right? You're supposed to have
IF, that's intermittent fasting.
Yeah, you were supposed to have experience with food. You were supposed to have a community time and talk, and so it was supposed to be something that was shared, and so like I really remember like just having that whole experience where you see the food, you smell the food, you appreciate it, and then when you go to eat it, it does taste better, and then you do eat slower because you're appreciating it, which I think is also probably better for digestion as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of benefits. Digestion for sure. You paying attention. I think even just the act of you enjoying the food and being grateful. And if it's quote unquote bad food, I'm not going to label any food bad, or, but you know, like what you think may consider not maybe your best choice, at least really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And a really big rule of mine for treats, even though I keep saying that I like sweets, is I'm a real snob when it comes to treats. Like,
right.
I love sweet stuff.
Can I give them an example?
But be a snob when it comes to your treats, is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
For my example?
Yeah.
Well, for example, some nights Oscar will say, oh, I'm kind of feeling for dessert. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you know, what would you like? And he's like, I don't know, maybe souffle. And I'm like, oh, do you want dark chocolate souffle or Grand Marnier souffle? And he's like, whichever is easier.
Yeah, because I am a very thoughtful person, and I don't want you to go out of your way.
And then because I am who I am, I'm like, oh, okay, let me think, which one is easier? Dark chocolate souffle is easier, by the way, for those of you who don't know. But yeah, that's what he gets for dessert. So
yeah, I think, yeah, if you've got a sweet tooth or a savory tooth, or you get cravings, whatever your treat is, be a real snob with it, right? Like, don't go for the Twinkie. Twinkie is always what I think of as the worst type of thing to eat. Because growing up in New York, you know, you go into the bodega, the corner store, and you know those Twinkies have been there for like 20 years, but they're probably still edible. And so you know
yeah,
it's not
because
good
it's
for you.
like not real.
Yeah,
it's
like,
chemicals, right?
yeah.
So like, of course
So
it's still edible.
That's one thing is be real snobby with your treats. But overall, here's the thing with nutrition is you have to be even though we're being very kind of strict with our Whole30 diet, in general, realize that any diet that someone says, here's what the newest diet is, that it's just kind of made up shit, right? It's just like made up. Someone just made up rules. And for you, it may be different than what it is for another person, but you have to pay attention to what you're eating, and then pay attention to how it makes you feel, and then pay attention to how it makes you perform the next day or right after. And then you will know for yourself, okay, this is what works for me. I know for a fact that really sweet, high processed sugars is not good for me. I also know that if I eat wheat, like bread and pasta, even though I really enjoy it, I do get very lethargic afterwards. And so even though I may not have an allergy to it or anything it affects me in certain ways in my performance. So if you are ever asking yourself, well, why am I not getting better in a certain thing? There's a whole list of reasons. Maybe it could be you're not moving the right way or whatever, but don't neglect the nutrition part, because that is huge as far as all the systems that it affects.
And wouldn't you say it's true that that's the last thing people are willing to change when it comes to, in your industry, especially with fitness and everything?
Yeah, I think if you're like, so fitness and nutrition, fitness is so much easier. Like strength training. Nutrition is a lot harder because you also start dealing with self-esteem things and some mental things, and people kind of get like emotion. There's like a lot of emotional attachment to it. And I'll give you an example. We went to see our physician, our functional medicine doctor, and she kind of gave us a list of things that we couldn't and couldn't do, or that she would recommendations. And instantly, while she was speaking, I was already making arguments against it.
No!
Right. And the reason is not because she was wrong and I was right, but the reason is because there's some mental attachments to how food makes you feel. And I think it's much easier for someone to say, oh, do these movements and you're going to move better and feel better. But if that same person says, well, listen, I hate to tell you, but sugar's really bad for you and you shouldn't really have that cookie every night. You're like, no, you're wrong. I could have a cookie every night. I just need to change these other things. But the truth is that there's some other emotional aspect that's connected to that, which we're not qualified to fix, but just know that it's there. And you kind of have to try to figure to work that out yourself. And then the other few things that I would say is when it comes to nutrition is sometimes we could be trying to tackle a medical issue with a fitness methodology. So what I mean is there's people who have like thyroid issues, some other medical things that is preventing them from getting leaner or looking the way that they want to look. Work done. And you can't nutrition, your thyroid, right? You have to kind of see a doctor for that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, who knows? There's a lot of stuff like when it comes to nutrition. So that's why nutrition is way more challenging to tackle than fitness. But you have to do that if you want to live a good life and a long life, right?
Yeah. So and like Oscar just said, it's just do a trial and error. Even if you're not willing to do something so extreme and cut everything out and then slowly bring everything back in. Sorry, we don't have
11.
So we've got.
What? Oh.
Hi everyone. We're
Sorry,
Lily's
I was
here.
just
Hi
reading
Christine.
some
Hi
stuff.
Chance. Okay, so yeah, so I forgot what I was saying.
We're talking about
Distracted
nutrition.
me.
Talking about nutrition. Here's the thing, nutrition. Let's just kind of recap this whole thing. Is actually I know what you're talking about. You were talking about you got to try things out.
Right,
yourself.
you have to try things out for yourself because you'll know how you feel. So even if you're not willing to go as extreme as we are, and if you do go, whole 30 or whole 20 or whole 10, 15, even, whatever you want to do, like Oscar said, you have to reintroduce things slowly because that's how you're going to get a gauge of how it makes you feel. But if you're not willing so much yet, just try to eat kind of clean for a day or so and then see how you feel when you go to work out, when you go to do Kung Fu. I'm not going to tell you that if you only eat chicken, your yachima is going to be better or anything like that, but I will tell you it does affect how you perform in class. I've had parents show up when I've told them, hey, I'd like your kids to, change up and not eat sugar right before class because that would help me out a lot. And then I would take kids and be like, hey, so-and-so was really focused today. Great job. He was really paying attention. She goes, oh yeah, he had salmon and quinoa today instead of chicken nuggets and
That's
whatever. I was like,
awesome.
oh, it's so
salmon.
weird that happened. So it really does make a difference for cognitive function. And if you're cognitively functioning better, you're going to learn Kung Fu, which those of you who do Walam know it's so complex that, if you get frustrated because you're not memorizing sequences or you're not getting the moves down, you're not getting the understanding, it is related. So definitely do trial and error and see how you feel, and hopefully that will help.
I like it. And so
Summary now.
summary.
I'm gonna check my notes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
same.
summary is this, right? In order to live like a long, healthy life, there's a bunch of different things that you need to think about. Fitness and your Kung Fu and your movement is one of them. Great, awesome, check. And it's super important to move around a lot throughout the day, and it's really cool to learn like Kung Fu and all this other stuff. But you've got to check to make sure that your nutrition is on point. Another topic is making sure that your sleep is on point, your stress levels, a lot of other things take into account. But when it comes to your nutrition, ask yourself, am I where I want to be in life, right? And if the answer is no, let's take a look at your nutrition. And the assignment that I would give everyone out there is just rate yourself right now on a scale of 1 to 10.
Skittles to broccoli and fish.
If you're eating Skittles every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then you're a 1. If you're having your steamed fish and broccoli all the time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're a 10. Find where you are within there. And if you're happy where you're at, keep doing what the hell you're doing. Awesome job, high five, and I love you for it. If you want to be a little bit better, then you rate yourself, let's say, a 4. Just think, well, what would it take for me to become a 5?
Yeah,
Or a
don't
4,
try to
5.
jump to 10 because
Right.
that's like
And
failure.
and then just do that and just start tackling that one meal at a time.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, we're
Let us
happy to
know.
answer them.
All right, I think that's good.
It's time
Thanks
for
for
dinner.
watching 4D Fit Food today. We will see you next week. Don't forget our new time is 8. So hopefully that's better for all of you. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks for checking in.
Bye.
Bye.